Okay, so welcome to this video. So today we are going to discuss about the dissolution uh, drug release chapter 724 as per the USP. So this USP general chapter 724 gives a guidance onto the testing of extended release drug product throughout the various levels, that is L1, L2 and L3. And we need to understand, what is the acceptance criteria and whether our products meets the acceptance criteria at the studied level. And based on to that, you can decide on to, stopping the dissolution testing or continue dissolution testing to the next level. So let us begin with the presentation and share it is. So let us understand what is the L1 requirement given by the USP under 724 general chapter, and it is the requirement of analyzing 6 units of the drug product. So you need to select 6 units of the drug product and perform the dissolution. So this is the acceptance criteria. In case of L1, your individual value of the 6 unit, needs to be assessed for the requirement, and no individual value should lies outside the stated ranges. So you may be having the acceptance criteria for the extended release drug product. It is at 4th hour, 8th hour, and the 12th hour. So what is the acceptance criteria at the 4th hour? Let us say 30% to 50%. So that becomes your stated range at the 4th hour. So if you are assessing the dissolution result at the 4th hour, then you must confirm that the no individual value is lying outside the stated range at the 4th hour, that is 30 to 50%. And the second important acceptance criteria is no individual value is less than the stated amount at the final test time. So for the extended release, we will have the intermediate time points and then the final test time point, 4th, 8th, and the 12th. So the 12th hour becomes your final test time. So what is the acceptance criteria at the final test time point? Let us say not less than 80% release at the 12th hour. So your all units must meet or must have the dissolution more than the dissolution acceptance criteria mentioned under the 12th hour. So I am also going to explain you with the help of very simple example. Okay, so let us understand a example wherein the L1 acceptance criteria is met. So the individual value of 6 unit, that is at the L1. Let us take an example of 4th hour as our dissolution time point, and the specification is 30% to 50%. So what is the acceptance? What is the requirement now? Our requirement is each unit must be between 30 to 50%. Hmm? Let us assume that this is the observed data. 41%, 42, 43, 44, 50, 45, and 46. So this is the random figures I have used to just demonstrate you how one can interpret the dissolution. The final test time point is the 12th hour, and the requirement is what? Not less than 80%. So each unit must be above 80% at the 12th hour. So your observed data is 81%, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 86. So all these 6 units are meeting the 12th hour dissolution requirement. So what you can say now? Individual values requirement are getting fulfilled, and hence there is no need of further testing. You can stop your analysis there itself at the L1 stage. Now let us understand what is the example of a dissolution result where L1 criteria does not meet, and here it is on to your screen. So the individual value of 6 units at 4th hour is 24%, 42%, 43, 44, 45, and 46. What is the acceptance criteria at the 4th hour? Your specification is 30% to 50%. So all the units must be between 30 to 50%. But in this case, the unit number 1 has got 24% drug release, which is outside your stated range. So this is first one. The second one is what? At the last time point, your dissolution requirement is what? Not less than 80%. That is at the 12th hour. And what are the values? 74%, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 86%. So you can clearly understand that the unit number 1 is having less than your required acceptance criteria of the 80%. So now, what you can conclude? The individual value requirement is not fulfilled in this case, and hence you have to now go for the L2 testing. That doesn't mean if doesn't meet the requirement, you have to reject the batch. You can go to the level number 2. And in case of you are moving ahead with the level number 2, you have to select 6 more units for the dissolution, and you have to perform the dissolution on 6 more units. So altogether you will have now 12 unit dissolution data, 6 from L1 stage and 6 from L2 stage. So let us understand what is the acceptance criteria mentioned at the L2 stage. So for the L2 stage, the average value should lies within each of the stated ranges. The first requirement, and the average value is not less than the stated amount at the final test time. So you are now going to assess the average value first. Then the individual value for the 12 units. None is more than 10% of the labeled content outside each of the stated ranges, and none is more than 10% of the label content below the stated amount at the final test time. So let us understand with the help of example, because sometimes just reading the script may not be able to understand the exact requirement, but the example helps us in understanding the exact requirement very easily. So here is the example onto your screen. So you have tested 6 more units. So 6 from L1 and 6 from L2. You have now 12 unit dissolution data. So first point is what? Understand the average value requirement. And you are talking about now the 4th hour dissolution time point, where your specification is what? 30 to 50%, and this is the extended release dosage form. So the average of 12 unit must be in between 30 to 50%. This is your stated range. So average value must be between 30 to 50% to meet your dissolution at the L2 stage. So L1 is having 6 values of 24, 42, 43, 44, 45, and 46%. And you have tested 6 more units, which data is 21, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46%. What is the average of all these 12 is 40%. So please tell me whether you have met the average value requirement. You have absolutely met it, because it is in between the 30 to 50%. The final test time point is the 12th hour, and the requirement for dissolution is not less than 80%. So at L2 stage, your average of 12 units must be above 80%, or at least 80%. Must be 80% or above 80%. So at L1 is 74, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86% is the observed dissolution, and at L2 71, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 86. So what is the average of all these 12 units? It comes to a 82%. So now have your average value requirement at the last time points met? It's absolutely met, because it is more than 80%. Now what is the individual value requirement for all these 12 units? And at 4th hour, our limit is 30 to 50%. So the no unit is below 20%. And how I have calculated the 20? Because of this particular sentence, none is more than the individual unit, none is more than 10% of the label content outside each of the stated ranges. So I need to understand, 10% below my lowest range, and 10% above my highest value. So in this case, 30 to 50% is the stated range. So 30 minus 10, that is 20%, will give me the lowest value, and 50 plus 10 will give me a highest value. So 20% is the value at the lowest side, and the 60% is the value at the highest side at the 4th hour, where the dissolution range is 30% to 50%. So at the L1 results are 24, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and L2 results are 21, 42, 43, 44, 45, and 46. Hmm? So thus the results are in between 20 to 60%, the 20 to 60%, and no unit is below 20%, and no unit is above 60%. Yes, the lowest unit is the lowest dissolution value is 21%, which is still above 20%. So my lowest requirement has met. Now what is the highest requirement? The above value, it is 60%. And what is my highest value? I got 46%, which is well below 60%. Now my average has already been met. In between 30 to 50%. My individual values are also in between the stated range, with the plus or minus 10% outside the stated range. So I can say that now for fourth hour, my dissolution has met the L2 acceptance criteria. Let us understand the final test time points, the results. So if you go through the results, you will find that, or before we talk about the result, let us understand the limit now. So no unit must be less than 70%. 80 minus 10% becomes 70%. So no unit must be less than 70%. And here is the data. At L1 stage, we have 74, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86% results. And at L2 stage, we have 71, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 86% drug release. So is there any unit below 70%? Look at the data, and the lowest value is 71%, which is still above 70. So can I conclude that, my dissolution result has met the average value requirement and also the individual value requirement, so that I can stop further analyzing the dissolution testing, and I can conclude that my drug product has met the L2 stage acceptance criteria. Let us also understand, the case where the L2 acceptance criteria is not met. And here it is on the screen. So the average value of 12 units, and I'm talking about the fourth hour time point where the requirement is 30 to 50%. Okay, so you will find that the average of 12 unit now must be in between 30 to 50 percentage is my average value requirement, and my L1 values are 24, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46%, and L2 values are 19, 42, 43, 44, 45, and 46%. So what is the average value? I got 40%. So the 40% average value is well within 30 to 50%. So I can say that now my average value requirement at fourth hour is met. Let us understand the average value requirement at the 12th hour, which is my last time point, and the requirement is not less than 80%. So the average of 12 unit must not be less than 80%. Hmm? So L1 is what? 74, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. And L2 is what? 69, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 86. So if you calculate the average of all these 12 units, you will get 82%. So now can I say that the average value requirement at 4th hour and at the 12th hour is met? It's absolutely met. Let us understand the second important acceptance criteria, that is the individual values now. So at fourth hour, our requirement is 30 to 50%, and hence no unit below 20% is acceptable. So there must not be any unit below 30 minus 10%. 30 comes from what? 30 is our lowest value at the stated range, and the minus 10%. So becomes 30 minus 10 becomes 20%. And no unit must be above 60%. So 60 comes from where? Look at our highest value in the stated range, that is 50%. So 50 plus 10 becomes 60%. So my average should be 30 to 50%, and no unit must be below 20%, and no unit must be above 60%. So let us analyze the data. So 24%, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46 within the stated range, in between 20 to 60% now. 19, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. This is the data of the L2 stage. So the unit number 1 studied at L2 stage has actually found the release below 20%, and hence I can say that the individual value requirement at the L2 stage for fourth hour is not meeting. Let us also understand for the 12th hour result, and you will find that there is a one value at L2 stage which is 69%, and our requirement is what, 70%. So at the L2 stage for 12th hour dissolution result, L2 acceptance criteria is not meeting, and that is the purpose of saying that even though my average value requirement is meeting, but I cannot say the dissolution is meeting the requirement because my individual value requirement is not getting fulfilled. So that I need to now move ahead with the L3 stage analysis. So at the L3 stage of analysis, I need to perform the dissolution on 12 additional units. And hence, altogether, I will have 6 unit dissolution data from L1 level, another 6 unit dissolution data from L2 level, and the 12 unit dissolution data from the L3 level. So let us understand what is the acceptance criteria as per this particular general chapter 724. So the average value of 24 units, average value of 24 units must lies within each of the stated ranges, and average value is not less than the stated amount at the final test time. So the guideline talks about the stated ranges and the final test time. So the average value must be between the stated ranges and must be more than, or must not be less than this the stated amount at the final test time point. So the second important is criteria for the individual test values, that is for 24 units. So not more than 2 of 24 units are more than 10 percentage of the labeled content outside each of the stated ranges. The 10% you can further uh, expand it. So 30 becomes 20 and 50% becomes 60. So rather than 30 to 50, now our ranges have become 10% to 60%. Not more than two of the 24 units. And what I've said that, for the 20 to 60% is for what? This only for the two units out of the 24 units. The second acceptance criteria for the individual units, right? Not more than two of the 24 units are more than 10% of the label content below the stated amount at the final test time. So if the final test time is, let us say, 80%, 80 minus 10 becomes 70. So up to 2 units can be less than 70, but not more than that. Okay. None of the unit is more than 20% of the labeled content outside each of the stated range. So in case of 30 to 50%, now what is the acceptance criteria? None of the unit must be less than 30 minus 20 becomes 10%, and 50 plus 20 becomes 70%. So none of the unit should be outside the range of 10 to 70%. This is for the stated range, and none of the unit is more than 20% of the labeled content below the stated amount at the final test time. So if the final test time's resolution acceptance criteria is 80%, 80 minus 20 becomes 60%. So none of the units should be less than 60%. And let us understand this acceptance criteria with the help of suitable example. Okay. So here is the example onto your screen. So the average value of 24 units, and this is the fourth hour requirement is 30 to 50%, and this is the data. So what is the requirement now? Average value requirement must be between 30 to 50% now. So at the L1, you have a dissolution data like 24%, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. L2 data is 19, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. And L3, again, there are 12 data starting from 11% to ending with the 46%. So once you calculate the average value, it comes to be 40% now. So what is the requirement? The average value must be between 30 to 50%, and you got 40% result. So you can say that, my drug, my batch actually meets the acceptance criteria at the L3 stage for fourth hour release. Let us understand for the final test time point, and which is 12th hour, requirement is not less than 80%. So the average of 24 unit must be above 80% or equal to 80%, 80% or above 80%. So L1 is 74, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. L2 is what? 69 to 86%. And then you have a 12 unit data at the L3. So once you calculate the average value at all these levels, you will find that the 81%, which is still more than your 80%. And hence you can happily say that, my average value accept requirement at L3 stage has been met. The second important criteria is the individual value requirement now for the 24 units. So the acceptance criteria for fourth hour is 30 to 50%. So to 2 units below 20% are acceptable. And what is the basis of 20%? Our lowest range is 30%, and minus 10 becomes 20%. The 2 units above 60% are also acceptable. And how the 60% has been arrived? 50% is our highest range at fourth hour, and plus 10% becomes 60%. The second important point is no unit below 10% is acceptable. That is 30 minus 20. No unit above 70%, that is 50 plus 20, is acceptable. And these are the values. Look at L1, L2, and L3, and you will find that it actually meets our all the individual value acceptance criteria. Similarly, the final test time points acceptance criteria is not less than 80%. The requirement is now the 2 unit below 70% are going to be acceptable, but not more than 2. No unit below 60% is acceptable. So how many units are there below 70? Look at it. There are only 2 units, 69 and 61, but they are not more than 2. And hence we can say that our individual value acceptance criteria is also met for the final test time point. And hence this is the conclusion. Average value requirement is fulfilled, individual value requirement is fulfilled, and hence we can release the batch. Okay, so now let us understand an example where the L3 acceptance criteria has not been met. And here it is onto your screen. So the average value of 24 units, L1 plus L2 plus L3. At fourth hour, our requirement is what? The average of 24 units must be between 30 to 50%. And here is the L1, L2, and L3 result onto your screen. And the average value is reported to be 39%. So you can say that the average value for the fourth hour is been meeting. The final test time point is the 12th hour, and the requirement is what? The average of 24 units now must be not less than 80%, should be at least 80% or above 80%. So L1, L2, L3 results are onto your screen, and if you calculate the average of out of this result, you will find 80%. So it is still meeting the acceptance criteria. The second important acceptance criteria is now the individual values for all 24 units. So for fourth hour, the stated range is 30 to 50%. So 2 units below 20% are acceptable. 20 is what? Your lowest value, and minus 10 becomes, sorry, the 30 is your lowest value, and minus 10 becomes 30 minus 10 equal to 20%. So the 2 units below 20% are acceptable. Similarly, the 2 units above 60%, that is 50 plus 10, are acceptable. No unit below 10%, that is 30 minus 20. No unit below 10% is acceptable, and no unit above 70% is acceptable. I hope you understand this calculation part. Now let us understand the L1, L2, and L3 result, and you will understand that there are three values which are below 20%, 19% from L2, and 17 and 18% from L3 stage. So what is our requirement? No unit, not more than 2 units below 20, but here you got 3 units below 20. So you can say that the individual value requirement for fourth hour is not meeting for the L3 requirement. Final test time point requirement is what? The average value, sorry, the final test time point, that is 12th hour. The two unit below 70% are acceptable, and no unit below 60% is acceptable. So how many units are below 70%? There are three units, but as per our acceptance criteria, there can be only two units below 70. But here there are three units below 70%, and hence you can say that the individual values at 12th hour is also not meeting the acceptance criteria. So that this is the case. So average value is still meeting, fulfilling the requirement, but the individual value requirement is not fulfilling. So you need to raise an OS and investigate the root cause behind the failure. Is it a analytical error or the manufacturing error? Based on to that, the batch can be released or further disposed. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope that you must have now understand, how one can interpret the dissolution testing result for the released drug product throughout the three different levels of testing. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will meet you soon with such kind of useful and informative videos. Till then, take care and bye bye. See you soon.